It's my New Year tradition. Every year at this time, I refer to Lake Superior State University and their annual list of banished words. What should we stop saying in 2025? I'm Larry Fedoruk, and this is Later That Same Life. On each episode of my weekly podcast, a different topic, discussion, or story from our lives.
Season 15, Chapter 7.
Banished
Words
2025.
I've been following this annual list for years. I'd have a representative of Lake Superior State on my radio show back in the day. And I've also been covering this on my podcast for a while now. Lake Superior State has published this annual list for 50 years. During the year, they take suggestions and submissions from the public for words and phrases that are either overused or consistently misused. It's a list of 10 in random order, and it's always one of my favorites. Let's dive in. Lake Superior State University in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and their list of banished words for 2025. First is cringe. This one is on the list for overuse. To say that something made you cringe used to have impact. But to quote the university, it's overstayed its welcome. Ironically, people who use the word cringe actually now make you cringe. It's also used as an adjective. You know that new guy at the office? He's so cringe. Cringe has become cringe-worthy. Cringe-worthy, by the way, was on last year's list. But this year, cringe. You're out. To the dictionary dungeon with you. Next, game changer. It's pretty much used to describe anything that is even slightly innovative or new. You know, we introduced a new payroll system at the office. It was a game changer. Yeah, we'll see. The overuse of the phrase means that almost everything is a game changer, which means that nothing is a game changer, if you know what I mean. Game changer. Banished. Give it a bed and strap it down in the wacky word ward. Next, era. We can place the blame for the overuse of this word directly on Taylor Swift and her followers. Taylor's Eras tour just recently wrapped up in Vancouver after 2 years on the road, taking in over $2 billion worldwide. The 3-hour-plus show covered music from the different eras of Taylor Swift's career. Fair enough, but this caused everyone else, not just Swifties, to use the word era to describe just any period in their lives. I'm in my unemployed era. He is in his jogging era. She is in her diet era. We used to say it's a phase you're going through. No, now it's an era. You've heard of the summer of George? Maybe it's the era of Larry. Era. No more, please. You're being thrown into jargon jail. Lake Superior State University's annual list of banished words for 2025. It includes dropped, as in this just happened or this was just released. Beyoncé's new album just dropped. They just dropped the new trailer for the Superman movie. New episodes of my podcast drop every Wednesday. Well, again, it's overuse. Dropped is on the list, and the list just dropped. So drop the dropped. This next one, I'll admit, first time I ever heard of it is when I saw it on this year's banished list. IYKYK. It's a texting abbreviation. IYKYK stands for if you know, you know. Obviously, I didn't know. You know, it's great to be of a certain demographic. Popular parlance can just come and go without you ever knowing it. I could have just heard of IYKYK, which I did, thought it was cool, said to myself, you know, I'm going to start using that. And people would go, yeah, boomer, that's already over. Hey, speaking of which, you ever noticed that one word has withstood the test of time and language? Cool. The word cool. Cool has been cool for decades. Year after year, it's cool. It was cool when I was a kid. It was cool when I thought I was cool. And it's still cool. Cool will never be on a banished word list. It will always be cool. Anyway, back to the 2025 list. Next up, sorry, not sorry. Now, is it supposed to be a half-hearted apology? Or is someone saying they're sorry for not being sorry? Or are they torn? Sorry, but not really sorry.
Said I was sorry. Stuff your sorries in a sack, mister. It's an expression.
As one of the people who submitted this to the website said, it's really just giving people another excuse to be jerks to each other. Sorry, not sorry. Well, we've locked it in the term tower. Okay, next on the list, another one that might need a little bit of explaining. Skibbity. S-K-I-B-I-D-I. Skibbity. What's that? Well, ask a 10-year-old. Although they may not even know, even if they're using it, because it can mean something that's dumb or bad or even cool. That is skibbity. Oh, yeah, I agree. It all depends on the context. It's really a term from TikTok. Origin unclear. It's possibly a word that appeared in a song sung in Arabic that went viral. No one seems to be definitive on the meaning or origin. But enough people used it, and then enough people agreed on its overuse to have it appear on this year's Banished Words list. That is so skibbity. Well, here's one quote I found online. The word skibbity is a non-lexical vocable that originated from a YouTube series called Skibbity Toilet. The word is derived from the song Dum Dum Yes Yes by Bulgarian singer Bizer King, which was released in 2022, unquote. So if you've ever wondered if the word skibbity came from Skibbity Toilet, or was it Skibbity Toilet that came from the popularity of the word skibbity? Hard to tell. None of this makes any sense to me. But then again, I'm not the target demographic. YouTube search Skibbity Toilet if you want to be really confused. Before I get to the next word on this year's list, here's a clip from last year's Banished Words podcast, where I talked about words that I'd be submitting for this 2025 list. I've sent in 3 recommends so far. The biggest pet peeve is 100%, at least when it's used to agree with another person. You know, I think that restaurant needs a new menu. Oh, 100%. I would be thrilled if any of my suggestions ever make the list. That was me a year ago. And now, I am pleased to announce that the 2025 Banished Words list from Lake Superior State University includes 100%. Obviously, I wasn't the only one to submit this, but clearly, many people on the Banished Word panel agreed with me. And they agreed with me 100%. It's on the list. Next on the list, utilize. This made it on because of overuse, but also because it's an overcomplication of the language. Why utilize when you can just use? You know, I'm going to utilize this can opener in order to access a delicious consommé. We're going to utilize. And finally, period. This is both overused and misused, especially from an egotistical standpoint. Yes, we get your point. There's no need to verbally punctuate it. You know, there should be no new taxes, period. Some people even say, period, end of story. Hey, who are you to decide when the story ends, when the discussion is over? You know, we don't verbally punctuate anything else, comma. Here's a list of my grievances, semicolon.
I just don't happen to like exclamation points.
Well, you know, Jake, you should learn to use them. Like the way I'm talking right now, I would put exclamation points at the ends of all of these sentences. On this one and on that one.
Well, you can put one on this one. I'm leaving. It's an exclamation point. It's a line with a dot under it.
Well, I felt it called for one.
Call for one. You know, I thought I heard of everything. I never heard of a relationship being affected by punctuation.
But we love putting this period in there, trying to shut down any opposing points of view. Period. The verbal use now put into the punctuation penitentiary. And that's this year's list from Lake Superior State University. Cringe, game changer, era, dropped, IYK, sorry not sorry, skibbity, 100%, utilize, and period. Are any of those going to be a problem for you? Like you use some of these terms all the time and you don't think you'll be able to stop? I think I'm good this year. I really don't use any of these 10 words and phrases you just heard. And then again, it's not official. It's not the law. There are no language police. Mind you, Trump is in next, so, hard to tell. There just might be. I mean, he's already threatening to shut down media licenses of properties that don't exactly toe the Trump line. And I'm sure he has some billionaire buddy who would love to run that department. If you decide to submit some 2026 suggestions, while you're at their site, make sure and check out the Banished Words archive list. It's always interesting. Over the years, the stuff they have included, like dead serious, slight glitch, my plate is full, multitasking, Joe Sixpack, factoid, infomercial, under the bus, bromance, man cave, influencer. I know, right? I mean, the phrase, I know, right? And of course, there was last year's list. I mentioned cringeworthy, but also last year they had hack, impact, at the end of the day, Riz, slay, iconic, obsessed, side hustle, and wait for it. As mentioned last year, I submitted the expression 100%. That made the list. I'd also submitted 2 more that did not. I'll be resubmitting them this year. One is walk me through. It's overused by lazy and underprepared news anchors and interviewers who can't come up with a real insightful question. So they just say, walk me through what just happened. Walk me through the details. It's overused. Also the phrase, is it me? People who start a sentence with that disclaimer, they either need some verification for their opinion, or they're hedging their point of view just in case. Is it me, or is that senator particularly useless? Is it me, or are groceries expensive these days? Time to banish that. So I'm going to submit those 2. Also, here's some ideas. Deep dive, it's overused. Also misused. Let's face it, none of us are deep diving into a subject, unless you consider deep diving reading Wikipedia. Also the phrase, you do you. That's the worst piece of non-advised advice you can get or give. Just do you, man. You do you. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And I'm starting to notice a borderline overuse of this term, grab the third rail, used as a metaphor. So in real life, the third rail is the electrically charged rail that provides power to electric trains and subway cars. You don't touch that third rail or you'll be electrocuted. The metaphor is used mostly by politicians. Grabbing the third rail means bringing up controversial topics that may destroy a career. Except now it's also being used as a challenge. It's time to grab that third rail. Take the shock. Make some changes. Get her done. I don't know. Should be banished. And I'm also going to suggest banishment for deja vu all over again. That has been around for decades. Credited as a Yogi Berra-ism. People use it to mean history and events just repeating themselves. Except they think saying it this way is so funny and original. It's not. I imagine every language has words and phrases that are overused, misused, abused, but English is the most widely spoken language on the planet. It's English, followed by Mandarin, Hindu, Spanish, and French. English has about 170,000 different words. And once we start combining them, like cringe with worthy or quiet with quitting, and we begin coining terms and phrases, well, the possibilities are endless. And that's not counting words we just make up along the way, like brainstorming, or nerd, or workaholic, or Google. Words that we take from other languages: ballet, nacho, schmooze, karaoke. My point is that with all these words, and then the combinations and permutations and possibilities, it's sometimes hard to believe that we get stuck on a select few and we burn them out. We overuse them and beat them to death. Isn't that why all languages have synonyms? Words that mean almost the same thing, but not quite? That's so we have choices, so that we can use the exact correct word. Mark Twain once said, "The difference between the almost right word and the right word is really a large matter. It is the difference between the lightning bug and the lightning." Good old Mark Twain. Well, then again, maybe it's more of a writer's thing. We're more concerned with the words, because they're our business, our livelihood. Whereas most people, probably not as much. They just want to know enough words to get through a day. Accomplish work in the morning, then get out to lunch, pick up a sandwich, maybe a sub, a hoagie, hero, a wrap, torpedo, burger, burrito, grinder, panino. I'll just have a hot dog. Anyway, to me, words and proper communication is everything. I mentioned that English has over 170,000 words. Yet the average vocabulary of a native English-speaking adult is only between 20 and 35,000 words. And that includes words that they don't use that often, but they can at least recognize and attach some meaning to. If language is important and words matter, that's pretty pitiful. It's like knowing around 12% of the language. And that's what gets us through life. 12%. And even then, we overuse so many of them to the point of frustration, where we start recommending that some of them just be banished. I'm tired of hearing that.
Stop saying that!
I'm just saying we could do better. We have nouns and pronouns, verbs and adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, conjunctions, interjections, subjects, predicates, synonyms, antonyms, homonyms, prayer hymns, and swears. That is a lot of language. That's a big pile of language. Yet we dumb it down to our core 12%. Maybe we should have a goal for the year to at least get that up a few points. Hey, I'm not saying be a sesquipedalian, but,
Later That Same Life is written, voiced, and produced by Larry Fedoruk. LarryFedoruk37@gmail.com. Subscribe to Larry's podcast YouTube channel. Get automatic notifications with each new episode.